So thank you for joining in this part. We were discussing about the dispute settlement, and I think in the last part we were finally talking about the judicial settlement as well as regional agencies and arrangements, how different regions have developed in terms of judicial setup, which is an unfortunate part for our region. And one can go through, find several studies and write-ups about why our region has been failed in terms of developing those uh, areas and aspects of settlement. And now if I move ahead, the United Nations Charter Article 33 further says that other peaceful means of their own choice. So this is one of the most important concept, and we can endorse anything and everything in it. When we are talking about alternative settlement of disputes under the United Nations system, perhaps we can vehemently refer to this particular mechanism. And this is not a particular mechanism, rather this kept the options open for all the nations to choose their own means and method of settling the disputes. So what I would like to mention here is that when we are talking about other peaceful means, it's basically the strategy and vision United Nations Charter framers have included. Because if you look at the historical what you call cascade of many centuries, the way disputes are being settled from time to time were completely different. At times, war has been the most preferred solutions for settlement of the disputes. The parties used to agree for the war, and the winner used to take the lead in everything the winner used to take. On the other hand, when even in ancient times as well, we have experienced the examples of entering into treaties and thereby negotiating and settling the disputes in peaceful means. But I think throughout several centuries from the history of the civilizations, if we find our what you call if we would like to find how things were used, then war is always the predominant and had been the predominant method of settling the dispute. So at the adoption of the United Nations Charter, it prohibited the use of force under Article 2.4. However, collective security under Chapter 7 has kept open, and also self-defense is there. So these are some tricky points by which even if you see the war in today continuously being happening around the world, the point for us relevant here is that the charter kept the option open, and that other peaceful means, which means any other method or mechanism of settling the dispute which is peaceful. And as you know, that any form of alternative dispute mechanisms, whether we talk about mediation, whether we talk about arbitration, whether we talk about conciliation, they all are peaceful means. And even beyond that, if tomorrow a method of settlement comes into operation, if after 20 years a new method of dispute settlement is evolved, then certainly those will be a very useful method. Today we are, we are quite accustomed to hear a new kind of dispute settlement means, which called ODR, means online dispute settlement. And although UN Charter has nothing mentioning about this because it was not possible to envision, but of course, when UN Charter says that other peaceful means parties will settle their disputes, I think it goes very well with the settlement of through all online disputes settlement mechanism. So that is one. Another, for the time being, way of settling the dispute, which can be other peaceful means, includes consultations and conferences of the parties. Although it to some extent goes with the negotiation, but usually conference of the parties means where the parties will gather and they have a conference discussions, and then they will uh, come to certain conclusions. But again, it is very difficult to differentiate negotiation from the conference. But I guess there is a point where in negotiation the parties have the bargaining continuation in order to reach a certain outcome, whereas I think in conference it is a collective effort they reach to. Conferences are usually happens in a very what you call with the participation of largest number of people, and then in a very celebration mode. It further says that, I mean, the interpretation that the referral to of a dispute to a political organ or non-judicial organ of an international organization can also be considered as other peaceful means of party's choice. But I think for our purpose, what we can conclude is that these other methods, other peaceful means, are actually appreciation and welcoming of new kind of dispute settlement mechanisms if arises in terms of settling the disputes between the parties. So the option kept open so that in future the charter is not needed to be amended in order to do that. So with this, thank you very much for listening to this part here.